I'm Ken Davis, Chairman of Lower Merion Township's Cable Television Advisory Committee and a former Township Commissioner. I'm pleased today to have as our guest Terry Foley, who is President and CEO of the City Avenue Special Services District. The district provides a wide variety of services on both sides of City Avenue for 3 miles, from the Schuylkill River south to Wynwood Road. The district was the first of its kind to encompass 2 municipalities in 2 counties, the City of Philadelphia and the Township of Lower Merion. It includes more than 130 shops and restaurants, the second most dense office market in the region, and 2 major institutions of higher learning, St. Joseph's University and the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Terry, welcome to our program.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
You are a special services district. Why don't you tell us the kinds of services that the district provides on both sides of City Avenue?
Well, the most prominent thing is we provide enhanced safety. We have an 8-person bike patrol that's out there every day from 10 to 8. They provide assistance to motorists. They keep the police and others advised if there's any issues or problems. And they just generally are good customer service type of people to help people out.
Very good.
We also maintain some public areas along City Avenue. We do many capital improvements. We are advocates for the area, and we also do promotion of the businesses.
Now, the boundaries of the district were drawn before you got there. Can you talk a little bit about how they were drawn and what are the criteria for inclusion?
Because it was before my time, I'm really not sure what they had in mind, because some of the boundaries we can't make sense of.
Yeah.
So we assume that some people opted out at the time, did not want to be part of it. But generally, it encompasses most of the commercial properties along City Avenue, and then on 54th Street, Ball Avenue, and 63rd Street. And then it entails the entire office park area, as well as the retail center on the Philadelphia side. St. Joseph's is a prominent part of the district, as is the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine.
Right. So if you're not in the district, you're not the beneficiary of the services that you provide. I know the district is not funded by the taxpayers. Can you talk a little bit about how it's funded and how you govern yourself within the district?
Sure. The operating budget is funded through assessments on commercial properties. So it's a great story. It's where the commercial property community wanted to see things improved. They got together with the political folks, both in Lower Merion Township and the City of Philadelphia, and they created this entity, and they agreed to pay for it. So it's a great public-private partnership that occurred. In terms of our capital improvements, we go out and get grant funding. We also attract matching funds from people such as organizations such as St. Joseph's, the Township, the City. Most recently, Target Corporation has committed funds for a project. And of course, the district puts its own cash into that. The district is governed by an 18-member voting board. There are ex officio members also that attend our meetings, but they can't vote. 9 of those board members are appointed by City Council based upon recommendations of our Government and Nominations Committee of the board. And then 9 are voted upon by the Board of Commissioners of Lower Merion Township, and again, upon the recommendations of our committee.
I see. Very interesting. You have a very diverse group of shareholders. You've got businesses, property owners, developers, and residents. How do you convince them to buy into the mission and the objectives of the district?
It's actually really easy. It's to their financial well-being that we are successful in meeting our goals. And all of our stakeholders get that if we thrive and along with us they thrive, they're going to do better.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the physical improvements in the district, things that people can see?
Sure.
To make things better?
I'll start going back a little bit in time, back to like 2012. Back then we put in pedestrian scale lighting and crosswalks on both Bala Avenue and 63rd Street. Also at that time, in partnership with St. Joseph's, we put in additional lighting and crosswalks on 54th Street and along City Avenue. We also redesigned the intersection of Bala and City Avenue and attracted grant money for that project. In addition to that, Phase 1 of the City Avenue project has been completed in partnership with PennDOT. That was a very large project, about $3.6 million. And the main thing that happened there was we were able to install traffic adaptive signals the length of City Avenue at 17 intersections. And by putting in the new equipment, we were then also able to put in countman or handman countdown timers, as well as pedestrian push buttons at every signalized intersection. In addition to that, new street signs were installed, new ADA ramps at all the intersections, and then a lot of non-sexy stuff that occurs underground that people don't see. We're coming up on phase 2 of the City Avenue project. We've done a little bit of this project already, and you can see that on City Avenue where we've installed what's commonly known as rumble strips at 3 major pedestrian intersections. And what people don't realize, those rumble strips are not just for the cars to recognize that, hey, I'm approaching an intersection, but also pedestrians hear it as well, and it makes them pay attention a little bit better. We've also put in speed minders, which are those signs that tell you how fast you're going, and if you're going too fast, they'll flash slow down. In addition to that, we installed additional passive detection at 3 intersections. I failed to tell you, in phase 1, we installed passive detection, and what that is, it's a camera-based system that detects someone at the crosswalk, and then it will change the light for them. That's necessary because we have a motorized wheelchair community in the district that needs to get across City Avenue but can't push the buttons. In addition to that, we also put audio signals in the area of the St. Joseph's University campus and the Overbrook School of the Blind so that the visually impaired also can hear what's happening with the signals. So with phase 2, the rest of that project will entail additional safety improvements. 3 intersections will have 4 intersections actually have new crosswalks. On 54th Street, we're going to put in some speed cushions where there's a major crosswalk to get traffic to slow down. In addition to that, there'll be some medians installed where there's no left turns, and that will help to slow down traffic. It's more of a traffic calming thing. So that one is about a $4.6 million project. While we've finished some of it already, we expect to go to construction for the bulk of it later this year. In addition to that, we have, in cooperation with the township, we redesigned Presidential Boulevard to make it much safer on the township side, and we also installed a mid-block crosswalk, which has been well received by the folks in that area. On the Philadelphia side, we have a plan to reopen Presidential Boulevard, and we have a commitment from Target for matching funds, and we're applying for state grant funding to be able to do that project in the near future. And the last but not least, we're going to do additional lighting on City Avenue. It's phase 3 of our City Avenue project, and that can go to construction probably by the end of this year, but most likely it'll be next spring.
That's great. A lot of things going on. You touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to sort of dig down. Public safety, obviously, is always a concern. And you've got both the City of Philadelphia and the Township of Lower Merion. How do you coordinate with the police, fire, and emergency services on both sides of City Avenue?
John Collins, who's our Director of Public Safety and Operations, had a 30-year career with Lower Merion Police Department. He is in constant contact with the Lower Merion Police Department and with the 19th District of Philadelphia. We also participate actively in a task force that brings together many different organizations such as SEPTA, the FBI, Southwest of Texas, Montgomery County. That meets regularly where we'd exchange information about what's happening along the City Avenue corridor. In addition to that, with this patrol out there, they're eyes and ears. They see everything, and the bad guys see them, and they know this is not a good place to do something I shouldn't be doing.
Right. I know there was an issue some years ago when people would call 911, whether they would wind up getting routed from Philadelphia or Norristown. How does that work now?
To my knowledge, we do not have that problem anymore.
Okay.
I've had no complaints about that, so we're in good shape there. When you mentioned fire and rescue, one of the things we're doing in the fall is a lunch and learn with Narberth Ambulance, where we will bring them in and invite the business community to come in and learn about some things that they should be thinking about in the workplace to assist people like Narberth Ambulance when they respond to calls. Right.
So we have fire service companies in Lower Merion, of course, that are close to the avenue. Or is there a corresponding fire department on the other side, on Philadelphia?
Well, there is a squirt operation that well down on 54th Street, on Belmont Avenue, and then over right in East Falls there is an engine company as well, and they both generally respond to anything on City Avenue.
So you haven't had any problems with delays in response to the calls?
No, we have not.
Well, that's great. City Avenue, of course, is also Route 1, U.S. Route 1. A lot of people don't realize that it's the same road that goes from Maine to Florida. So it's a major transportation corridor. And how do you keep the traffic moving and keep it safe for pedestrians? I know you talked a little bit about that, but for many people who are not resident of the area, who use US 1 as a throughway, essentially, how do you coordinate both traffic and pedestrian safety?
Well, let me start off by saying that one of our major roles is to communicate with those folks responsible for the maintenance of City Avenue. So we have Lower Merion Township, we have the City of Philadelphia, and we have PennDOT. So we are the ones in the middle who basically coordinate, we know who to call for what, and that's very important to keep the roadway and the lighting and the signals and everything else in good operational shape. In terms of traffic flows, that traffic adaptive system that I mentioned earlier, part of Phase 1, that has improved traffic flow substantially. The township did an Act 209 study back in 2010 or 11, and part of that was a traffic study. That was updated recently, and they looked at 16 intersections again, 15 of which are in the district, and most of them affected by the traffic adaptive signals, which I forgot to tell you, we also put them in on St. Asaph's Road. And what they found was, of those 16 intersections, 8 of them improved. 6 of them stayed the same, but they already had passing grades. And then one of them actually improved in the terms of seconds of delay substantially, but it didn't get a better grade. And then one of them was outside of our district, and we have no control over that. So there's evidence that things have improved traffic flow-wise. Now, when you go to the pedestrian safety, the big thing there was being able to install the handman countdown timers and the pedestrian push buttons so that now when someone goes across City Avenue, they can see how much time they have and is it safe for them to cross. In addition to that, I mentioned that we put in the rumble strips to alert drivers at our 3 heaviest pedestrian intersections and also the pedestrians. We've also the speed minders, which tell people how fast they're going, slow down. And then, of course, we put in the pavement markings that are right in the roadway in front of you saying 35 miles per hour. How fast are you going? All the lighting work we do has to do with pedestrian safety because the lighting we install doesn't just focus on the street, it also lights up the sidewalk.
Excellent. Now, obviously, as a former township commissioner, I know firsthand the work that you've done, and I gather that your relationship with Lower Merion has been pretty good. Philadelphia is a lot bigger, of course, and a little bit more complicated in terms of its government structure. How do you work with the city of Philadelphia, both city council and the departments within the city?
Well, city council, it's easy because we have one councilman that we work with, which is Councilman Curtis Jones Jr. So we have a very good relationship. He has an ex officio position on our board. His chief of staff, if he's not able to be there, is at our meetings, and I communicate with them on a regular basis. In terms of the other departments in the city, through the projects we've done, we've developed a partnership. We know the right people to call. For instance, the city has said, hey, September, we want to have a get-together with you guys. Let's go over everything going on in City Avenue. They're partnering with us on this reopening of Presidential Boulevard, for instance. They want to see a better connection to Fairmount Park, so part of that we're putting in public pathways along that road. They also recognize that we have a problem right now coming out of the Target driveway that we can alleviate by reconnecting down to Neal Drive and Presidential Boulevard down that end. It'll give another outlet to Martin Luther King Drive, the Falls Bridge, et cetera.
Right. Now, you have a new zoning code underway in Lower Merion Township, and I think you've been to some of the meetings and participated in it. But the City Avenue District has its own zoning code. How will that differ from what the township is doing? And will there be any conflicts between the two?
There will not be any conflicts because what the staff has done, they've taken the 2 ordinances that were passed in 2012 and 2014 that cover the district, and they are incorporating them into the new code and the format of the new code, and we do not expect to see any change from that.
Living in Lower Merion as long as I have, the NBC studio on City Avenue is a landmark, but they'll be moving. What do you think will be happening with that property, if you can say?
I can't say.
Yeah,
I can't say.
All right, so. But it's certainly, I think it's been declared as an historic district. I mean, an historic property, though, I think.
It is not.
Yeah, okay. Local businesses in the district are always looking for more customers. I know that marketing is a major function for you. Can you talk about how you market, not only for the district, but for individual businesses if they have a desire to become more well-known?
Brianna Paschel, our marketing coordinator, she's a full-time person, and this is what she does. And first of all, she utilizes our website to promote businesses in the district. She also uses social media. She's constantly up there putting out what's happening with what businesses, whatever. We also then conduct what we call lunch and learns, and when we do them, while we're going to show somebody something like with Narberth Ambulance, we generally take it to a location, though, where we are promoting another business at the same time. We also do networking events, and the purpose of them is, again, to focus on a particular business. We've done, most recent one was the B2, which is still a relatively new restaurant on City Avenue. It's becoming very successful and popular, but it needed a push. So we had a networking event there with almost 100 people. And that's how the word gets out. And those type of events are very, very effective.
So how do people who, let's say, live in the area want to get involved with City Avenue activities? What's the best way for them to participate?
Well, many of those folks are on our mailing list. So they get not only updates about things, but they get our newsletter, and they'll get invitations to any of these type of events. So we just had a cornhole tournament on August 6th that was well attended. There was 20-some teams participated, and several of those teams were from the community. They weren't from the district. So we were excited to see that.
Can you talk about the two universities that are in the district? Obviously, they're different than the office buildings and the residents. And how do they function within the district, the kinds of things that you and they are involved in?
Well, first of all, we're thankful that Mark Reed, the president of St. Joseph University, is on our board, as is Jay Feldstein, the president of the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. So they're right on front, seeing what's happening. Where we work with them most closely is with capital projects, because many times some of these things they're the prime beneficiary, because we're improving pedestrian safety, and their students are the ones who are crossing many of our intersections. So we work closely with both of them. With Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, we recently did a food truck event that they wanted to give something back to their employees, but they wanted to invite the community in. So we partnered with them on that, and it was a great event for both groups.
How about the future of the district? Obviously, it's thriving. People are moving into the area on both sides of City Avenue. What kinds of things are in the future for the district? I mean, as you have a long-range plan of some sort, what can people on both sides of the avenue expect to see?
Well, what we're hoping to do, we want to attract additional retail, but that will require some new development. There are many plans that have been submitted that include this new retail. There's a plan that has a new hotel, which we desperately need. We have two very, very successful hotels in the district, but we can use another one. It'll most likely be more of a boutique type of hotel. So we're excited about that. Office development has kind of lagged because that's where that market's not there right now. But we think that'll be coming back in the next 5 years, and we'll start to see some new office product in the district as well.
Residents of Lower Merion, and I suspect Philadelphia as well, are concerned about overdevelopment, gentrification, at least insofar as the city's concerned. What kinds of things are you hearing from the neighbors who are adjacent to both districts, concerns that they have?
Well, the concerns on each side are different. The folks on the Philadelphia side are primarily concerned about safety, and they like most of what we're doing, and are happy with it. On the township side, they're more worried about, as you called it, overdevelopment, impacts to the schools and things of that nature. We have generated several new apartment buildings, but our numbers are right in line with our land use assumptions report that we did as part of the rezoning effort. So it's not unexpected. And when we did that, the folks that were on our committees that are from the community groups, they wanted more people because they thought that would help alleviate traffic, because people would, and also populate the retail. Well, now we have those more people, but I think you'll see that slow down because that market is becoming saturated, and the financial people will go somewhere else with their money, and you won't see more apartment buildings going up.
Right.
But they're actually a good thing. And in terms of the school issue, the studies, even by the school district itself, say apartment buildings are not generating the new students. It's the generation change. Folks my age are moving out of a house, their kids are grown, and young families are moving in. Generational change.
So you see more residential in Ballackinwood area of the township for sure. Now, you have part of Ballackinwood in the district, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Talk about the City Avenue again, the U.S. Route 1. It is a PennDOT-related highway, correct?
Correct.
So you have a lot of work with them. Can you talk about the cooperation, the level of cooperation that you get? Sometimes we hear that PennDOT's a problem here or there, but you've had a pretty good relationship with them. Can you talk about how you work together with the district engineer or with Harrisburg? Well,
let me start off by saying that the one problem I have with PennDOT is they do not congratulate themselves enough. They are doing great things, but they never pat themselves on the back. They never tell anyone that they're doing this stuff. And I think that's something they really need to help. And I've actually talked to the secretary about that very subject.
She's from Montgomery County.
She is, and she knows our area very, very well. And so you guys got to take credit for all this great work you're doing. Yeah. We would not have had phase one of the City Avenue project if it wasn't for PennDOT stepping up to the plate with us. That started as a smaller project, $1.2 million project. And as they worked with us and they realized, geez, we should be doing this and we should be doing that, they stepped up to the plate and funded the rest of it. So our relationship with PennDOT is very good, both in Harrisburg and District 6.
But you also work with the Streets Department in Philadelphia and in Lower Merion, the Public Works on the side streets, right?
Oh, yeah, and on City Avenue. For instance, I mentioned earlier that there's different people responsible for different things. So lighting on City Avenue, the township takes care of their side and the city takes care of their side. But all the signalized intersections, except one, are the responsibility of the City of Philadelphia. They take care of all of them, and they're very responsive. We're on a first-name basis with the head of the department, and he does a great job. The only signal that's not their responsibility is the one at the top of the expressway ramp, which is the township's signal, and they respond very well there. They also take care of the ones on St. Asaph's Road, and again, the response is great.
Yeah, that's terrific. Well, I think we've exhausted the subject. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about in terms of upcoming events?
In October, we'll have a lunch and learn with the Narberth Ambulance, and I'm sorry I don't remember the exact day of my head. I think it's October 17th.
Well, it'll be on your website.
It will be, and we'll have a networking event. We'll be at the Marriott Courtyard, and that will be in September.
That's great. So I think we've been putting up your website address during the program. People are free to look at it and obviously to make contact with you if that's what they'd like to do.
And if you want to shop on City Avenue, we have a page dedicated to retail, and we have an interactive map there that you put in what you want. It'll show you where you can get it.
That's great. Our guest today has been Terry Foley, President and CEO of the City Avenue Special Services District. We hope to see you on the Avenue. Check it out in person or on the website. You'll like what you see. So goodbye for now. Thank you.